For quite some time, the Malawi economy has been faced with a number of challenges, one of which is the acute shortage of forex. The cause of the acute shortage of forex is so obvious. The country remains a net importer as it is unable to produce enough for the export market. What is at stake? What needs to be done? Hello and welcome to this special interview in which I'll be engaging the newly appointed Minister of Trade and Industry, Honorable Simplex Chithyola Banda, to have a glimpse into his vision vis-a-vis what needs to be done to address the challenges the local economy has been facing in as far as trade and industry is concerned. My name is William Kumwembe. Firstly, Honorable Minister, congratulations.
Thank you.
And welcome to the program. About 2 weeks into office, the first obvious question that I'll put across to you is, what's your vision for the ministry?
First and foremost is I would like to thank His Excellency, the President, Dr. Lazarus Chakwera, for his confidence and trust bestowed upon me by appointing me Minister responsible for trade and industry. It is an honor for me and the people of Malawi, more especially the youngsters. When I received the news about my appointment, the first thing I thought about is how challenging is the job. How do I hit the ground running? Looking at enormous challenges that the country is experiencing as far as trade and industry is concerned. So I accepted the appointment and I reported for duties. But the first thing that I thought I would do is to develop a roadmap that would guide my work as a minister responsible for trade and industry, to ensure that I don't just go for the sake of going, but probably I go there with a mission and for a mission. So I have my own mission, which is more like a vision for me to champion the ministry. It's a number of them, but I'll be happy to cite probably a few. Number one is the promotion of interministerial collaboration. So I'm looking at how best we can promote collaboration between and amongst ministries. So I'm looking at the Minister of Finance, because we can't do trade and industry minus finance. And then I'm looking at the Minister of Agriculture for production, because we sell, trade in the agro-process, those that have been produced. And agriculture is a core of production in this country when we talk about agriculture productivity. Then we are also looking at ministries like mining. We are venturing into an area where we need to explore alternative economic activities in this country, and mining becomes into sight. And obviously, because part of our ministry's work is to see that we have got structured markets, and then also development of SMEs. So there will be some small medium enterprises that will venture into small scale mining. This is the reason why collaboration between Ministry of Trade and Mining becomes of paramount importance. Then we are also looking at Ministry of Justice, because for us to trade and industrialize, we need legal and regulatory frameworks, legislations, and that obviously are domiciled within the Ministry of Justice and several other ministries. So my priority number one is to see to it that the ministry is building synergies with other ministries, as alluded to earlier on. So that's my priority number one, interministerial collaboration and networking. And then I've also looked at promotion of local industries, local industrialization. You know, for quite a long time, Malawi has been selling what we call raw products, as original as they are. We are not adding value. That denies us an opportunity to profitable and economic, gains. So we are looking at how best we can promote local industries in this country to value add, so that we can actually sell finished products. It doesn't make any sense, for instance, that we can send products in bags, like in 50 kilograms package, because what it means is we are exporting jobs. Jobs for packaging products, jobs for blending, but also jobs for value addition. So we simply need to do business as usual by making sure that we promote local industrialization. That will also help in terms of import substitution. So that's number 2. Then number 3, we are looking at small medium enterprise development. We need collective marketing. We need structured marketing. Very key to me on this one is the Ngona issue. We have the Ngona market, where because our farmers are not organized, they are not in cooperatives and associations, foreigners do come here and dupe them. They get our legumes, soya, beans, groundnuts, and other cereals across the border, and the government is not getting anything. So we want to make sure, number 1, that we develop SME, so that we can group them into formidable groups like cooperatives and associations, empower them to have a stronger voice, to bargain for profitable markets of their products. And then that will probably formalize such markets like the Ngona market. And the third one is the Buy Malawi strategy. There is a political will that we buy what is locally produced. I'm happy to say that 1 week into office, I've been able to make headways by engaging the Malawi Defense Force. I've had an interface with the Army General, General Nunde, and his delegation to try to pursue a pathway where the MDF will be able to buy boots and uniforms locally. Mind you, we have a facility in Banda called Charter Leather Design Studios, where they are able to produce good quality shoes that can be used for our security men in uniform. There is no reason that can justify us, importing boots which can be locally made in Malawi, in Blantyre. So I'm happy to report that the MDF have seriously shown commitment to be buying in Malawi, which is under Buy Malawi strategy as a matter of promoting it. And we are also trying to engage other security organs under Ministry of Homeland Security, like the police, the immigration, the Malawi prisons, and others, who buy, in bucks, that they should be able to utilize this facility in Blantyre, in Makoha textile shops, and many others. So at 1, we save the much needed forex because we'll be buying in local currency. 2, we promote small, medium enterprises in this country. In so doing, we'll be able to boost our GDP. And then finally, I'm looking at legal and regulatory framework, putting in place legislation that create conducive environment for trade and industry in this country, because that will actually attract foreign direct investments. So we are looking at equal participation of Malawians, and then we are also trying to look at creation of conducive environment for foreign direct investments in this country. Malawi over the years, have been predominantly importing nation. We need to change the mindset and the trend economically that we become predominantly exporting country. Because in so doing, we'll be able to actually have a good trade balance where we import less, we export more. And that, I think, will make business sense.
Before we dissect the 5 or 4 phases of the vision that you've just alluded to, you've just considered of some challenges that the Malawi economy is facing as we speak. One of which is the glaring shortage of forex. Truth be told, this is emanating from 2 things. Number one, the country's insatiable appetite for imports. On the other end is our inability as a country to produce enough for export market, which is giving us a wide deficit year in, year out. The obvious question that I would put across to you, Honorable Minister, is what's your impression of the situation?
I think we have come in at a time when the desire to have foreign products is amounting to that desire of appreciating our local products. It is a question about mindset change. We need to understand that it doesn't make any business and economic sense that in our shopping malls in this country, we can have shelves full of products from other countries, the likes of tomato juices, toothpicks, poultry products, that can be locally produced here and supplied. So I think our ministry's aim, one of them, is to sensitize the general public the importance of appreciating the local products. That will help to reduce the volume of imported products. But also, I think the issues of capacity building, empowering the local players to have the capacity that they can competitively compete in the regional business space by producing goods of standard, of good quality, that can be able to put on the market and compete with the foreign products. So I think there is the imbalance in terms of the imports and the exports. Why? Because I think we are not able to produce more for local consumption as well as for export market. And then we have that kind of desire that chagunja. So when you put on chagunja, then that's when people look at you as an elite. But I think time has come, and time is now, that we do what we call best by Malawians. Because we are very much sure that the products that are locally available could also be chemical free and good for consumption, durable and of good quality.
But the narrative regarding import substitution by Malawi, diversifying the economy, has been there, both from the political podiums, even in as far as blueprints is concerned. We had the national export strategy, for example, which, I would be fair if I use the word, we failed as a country to make the most of the ideas that we incorporated in the national export strategy. We intended to double our exports by 2018-2019, but by that time the gap remained so wide. Where have we been missing the link as an economy?
I think we need also to look at capital investment if we are to promote local industrialization. How much have we injected in investing that we have the facilities that can produce in this country? So you would agree with me that the previous privatization, deprived us of many industries in this country. They become dysfunctional. If we have, they're just very few, and those very few do not even get into serious business. So it's a matter of looking at how best we can develop the local industries. I think that's the reason why I said one of my key priorities is one, promotion of local industrialization. In that aspect, we are now looking at how much resources are put into those industries so that we can reach a level where we can say this is an industry that can produce a good quality product and can competitively compete at global or regional market. So I think we need to focus on that one. And the second one, I think for quite a long time, Malawi has been known to be good in developing strategies, but very poor in terms of implementation. So we need to popularize and operationalize pieces of legislations so that they don't just remain paper, but they remain an action point where one would say we are doing this because we are guided by this piece of legislation. I think this is why one of my pillars is legal and regulatory frameworks. But also we talked about the mindset change. What is good? What is good is something that you view in your view that it is of good quality, it is of good standard, it is durable. Some of the foreign products that have flooded our markets here are not of good quality, are not even durable. You might buy a piece of cloth that will last, for example, a month or two, but because you bought it with an appetite of buying a foreign product, why can't you just buy from Makoha something that will last you for a year or two locally here? Because you don't spend the much needed dollars or forex, you use the local currency, but you have bought something of good quality and indeed very durable. So if you ask me in terms of what is it that the ministry is probably doing to make sure that we change the status quo so that we export more and we import less, number one is let's produce more of good quality, of good standards, and then let's brand and market our products. Let's use instruments like Buy Malawi strategy to bring awareness to people so that they really appreciate the locally produced products. Because then, after changing the mindset, that's when we can realize the importance of being Malawian. In fact, do you know that even the sobo, orange squash, that is produced in this country is much more of good quality than some of the juices that we get across the border? But are people aware? We need to make them aware. And that's the role and responsibility of my ministry, making sure that we popularize Malawian products at household level. One, because they'll be used. Two, they'll help us in terms of our economies of scale. Yeah.
Malawi is part of the African Continental Free Trade Area, a critical market for African countries with a huge population, so to speak, about 30 million people, if I'm not mistaken, which gives economies within Africa a competitive edge, so to speak, as they come together as one formidable force. Nonetheless, there's been concerns or reservations regarding to Malawi's capacity to be as competitive as other countries within the region. One of the obvious things that have been put across is the concern over Malawi turning into a dumping site, mainly because of its inability to produce enough that is competitive. Do you share the assertion?
Yes and no. Firstly, we need to know that Malawi is part of the global village, is part of the regional blocks. So we cannot operate in isolation. As we are moving forward in terms of trading across and in this region, we need to be part and parcel. However, we need to be a bit more careful because one Tanzanian former president said the trading is like a battle of boxing, a game of boxing where the heavyweights are supposed to be put in their own category and the lightweights in their own category. When you mix up a heavyweight and a lightweight in the same league to fight, then you are causing trouble. So we are looking at some economies that are doing fine than ours, but all of them are probably in the same regional bloc, and they need to benefit from Africa free trade, free continental trade arrangements. So what we are now trying to say is, on the yes part, it creates markets for our products across the region. On the no part, we are yet to develop our industries so that we can actually produce those products that can probably survive on the global or regional markets. So if we don't do much in terms of producing or production, the challenge will be on the receiving end, because we'll be getting products from across the region to be sold in Malawi, because the law allows them to do that, and then we'll be exporting less. So what we need to do to benefit from this arrangement is to do more in terms of capacitating our local industry players so that they can compete with other players in the region, and then probably our products would be deemed to be of good quality. Now, as a ministry, one would wish to note that we are focusing, as I said, on the small medium enterprises development. We are now trying to say, why can't we just promote agro-processing, small-scale agro-processors and industries, like the Kumwembe cooking oil, that can be, producing cooking oil of good quality, very original, and then we exploit within this FCTA arrangement. So I'm happy that we are now in a ministry that is championing, among other ministries, this arrangement. It is not only this arrangement alone. We also have what we call tripartite free trade arrangement, where COMESA, SADC, and ESC are coming together so that we can be able to utilize and exploit markets in the eastern part of Africa, in the other parts of Africa under COMESA or under SADC. But how prepared are we to utilize those markets? It's only when we are able to produce more of good quality that we can, utilize such kind of arrangement. So I believe that if we can be able to implement the pillars that we have put as a roadmap within our ministry, and then we engage all the players of different economic sectors, we can be able to say now we are in a position to benefit more from this arrangement than the current status.
But the industry you are referring to, which I agree with you, is the main driver, the engine of the economy, continue to lament over volatility of the local economy, factors like elevated inflation, high cost of production, talking of persistent power outages, not to mention even elevated or high cost of borrowing in the country, which are some of the bottlenecks that the private sector players have been putting across over and over to say these are limitations to growth, which I believe you agree. What is the government in this case doing to address these bottlenecks?
Number one is government is seriously looking into it that we have sustainable power generation in this country, because energy is source and means of production. So without sustainable energy supply, then we can't talk about industrializing, because we only may depend entirely on the power from the main grid. When there is power outage, hotels, local industries, any other sector of economy is affected. So I'm happy that the government is making some strides in making sure that we have sustainable power supply. In terms of the volatility of our economy, This is because of the same issue about trade balance, where we are exporting less and importing more. When we are importing more, we use forex. That's why you see that we have the forex challenge in this country. Because some of the businesses that we are probably engaging on and transacting on that are using much of our dollars doesn't even make business sense in this country. That's why I'm talking of using dollars to import tomato juice, using dollars to import toothpicks. It doesn't make any sense. But actually, it is managing and consuming a lot of our dollars. That has a bearing in terms of inflation. That has a bearing in terms of forex management. But I'm happy to say that our ministry is also championing the foreign exchange bill that will probably put sanity into how we manage our forex in this country. It is an instrument, if it passed into law, that will probably help to stabilize the situation, and probably it might not be as it is now. Secondly, we need to focus much on forex generation. That's why the Ngona market is very dear to me. Some people who are not Malawians are probably flaunting Malawians, crossing the borders, going straight into Ngona, getting our groundnuts, our soya, our beans, without Malawi government getting any revenue collection. And then they get these products across the border. They sell. They realize dollars. So people in Kenya, Tanzania are getting fifth rich with our products locally available here, supported by various programs in this country. But just because the market where they get these products from is not structured. That's why we are saying time has come and time is now. Let's formalize the Ngona market. How do we want to do it? Number one, we want to make sure that it becomes structured, so whoever goes there at Ngona market to sell should come from a particular cooperative or association, because they have got a bargaining power for better prices. Then we need Malawi Revenue Authority to place their office there so that they can be able to collect revenue. Then we want those people that are buying from Ngona to buy through this structured market and pay our people through the banking system. So you want the commercial banks to put their agencies there. In so doing, we can sell the same soya, beans and cereals in dollars, but our people will be paid in kwacha using the banking system. So that will become an organized market, just as we are doing with tobacco. The political will is there. We simply need to do it. We are trying to explore which piece of legislation can we use. But time is now. We need to formalize it, because we are losing quite a lot of forex. Now, we have come in at a time when we are about to start harvesting. I think that's the right time for us to immediately put in place all measures so that Ngona becomes a structured market. So this definitely will have a positive bearing in turning around the economic opportunities in this country. So dollars will be there, sustainable power supply will be there, and then that will also reduce our inflation.
As we draw closer to the end, one of the thorns to the flesh of small-scale operators in the country, I've noted how particular you are about Ngona market and specifically the essence of cooperatives. But concerns have been there over unseen cartels, almost in all sectors. Agriculture is one of them, whereby some few bourgeoisies, I would use that word, seem to take advantage of the underprivileged, which is a threat to growth of SMEs and the economy at large. Should we fold our arms and wait for a miracle?
No, I think time has come that we do business as usual. We need to show seriously to this country that we are Malawians and patriotic enough. I think the issue is about lack of patriotism. There is no way that a normal thinking person can support such cartels, but they are there. It means they are being aided. Now we need to look at all angles. Are those cartels using rigid documentation, permits, and licenses? Then who issues them? Is it Minister of Agriculture or Minister of Trade? So I will not sit in my office and sign an export license or an import license of a business that has so many questions behind it. Because we need to know. Sometimes these might be supported by pieces of legislation because we are not aware of how they are going to use papers, permits, and licenses that they get. But at the same time, I think the cartels can be managed because of the way we collaborate and coordinate. That's why I'm saying one of my key pillars is promotion of interministerial collaboration, so that there is tandem in terms of the licenses that are produced and issued out by Ministry of Agriculture and those that are issued by my ministry. For example, you cannot move with an animal, be it a goat or a cow, from Chithyola to Banda without being stopped. You need to have a permit to allow you to move around with your animal. But there is a free movement of very strategic commodities like maize, groundnuts, where you get them from Ngona or any other local area up to Songwe. No checks. Sometimes they would show you we have got this permit. So time has come that through that kind of collaboration mechanism, Minister of Agriculture and my ministry and other ministries would sit down to look at how best can we regulate some of these strategic commodities. In so doing, we'll be able to curb the cartels. Not only the cartels, but even those people that are involved in sophisticated smuggling. So it's a coordinated effort. My ministry can't do it alone, but we can be able to lead the way because we have a will and passion to do things differently. And by the way, we don't have luxury of time. We must do it now, and we are going to do it.
Last but not the least, looking into the next 5 years, where do you intend to see the local industry? And maybe if I may take it a step further to say, what would you, as a sitting Minister of Industry and Trade, would like to be remembered for, say, in the next 5 or so years?
Well, 5 years would be a bit more long. We need to set deliverables that are time framed, medium term, short term, or long term. So I would like to be remembered as one of the ministers who actually championed the change in the ministry by bringing in legislation that helped create a conducive environment for trade and investment in this country. That is very key because those are instruments that will live longer after us. Secondly, I would like to be remembered as one of the ministers who were in the ministry championing SME development, so that we have organized marketing groups, farmers clubs, farmers organizations that are able to produce, value add, and sell at a sustainable, profitable market. I would like also to be remembered as one of the ministers who actually championed a very strong, symbiotically built interministerial collaboration, because that will be very key. But above all, I would like to be remembered as one of the ministers that probably championed, without doubts, the vision and mission of the state president of making a better Malawi possible. So these are some of the very key issues that I thought either 6 months, 1 year, or 2 years, or whatever time from now, people would be able to remember me for. But lastly, I would like also to be remembered as one of young Malawians who are passionate enough to making a Malawi that everyone looks for. By the way, I think many people who actually know me would attest to the fact that I love Malawi more than anything else. That's why either when starting or ending my speeches in Parliament, I always say, in the spirit of one Malawi, one people and one nation, let's do it. And indeed, in the spirit of one Malawi, one people and one nation, let's develop this country. There is no any other country that we can call home. It is only this one. And we are here now because God actually destined us that we can play a role in making sure that we have a better Malawi.
In the spirit of one Malawi, one people, one nation. Thank you so very much, Honorable Minister, for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And on that note, we've come to the end of today's edition of the program, where we were discussing some of the issues in as far as trade and industry is concerned. My guest today was the newly appointed Minister of Industry and Trade, Honorable Simplex Chithyola Banda. Till next week, my name is William Kumwembe. Bye for now.